I don't have a very good memory. And I've been trying to make a bunch of different videos about a bunch of different games that I've played this year. Instead, I would just like to catalog my experiences with the games that I put some time into this year. So, Death Stranding was a really tricky one for me. I've spent a long time working on the script. Months, really. I first played Death Stranding last year, and I tried it again this year in order to gather all of the lies that I could find throughout Death Stranding.
Since the woman in the mask has done nothing but lie to me.
My hope was to illustrate that once you went through a second playthrough, knowing the final spoiler lies, the final twists, you could go through the game once again and see things in a new light. And the new light that I saw, spoilers, was that Amelie was really in control of everything the whole time. The context of the game implies that Sam is the harbinger of the end. He's a pawn in Amelie's game. You are connecting all these cities together and intensifying the chiral network. And if you look at what some of the side characters like Lochna and Malinga have to say, it shows that as the chiral density is building, it's leading to this and that and the other, blah, blah, blah. The point is, Amelie was controlling Higgs. She gave Higgs all of his power. And if that's the case, then Amelie is solely responsible for the disasters in Middle Knot and South Knot City. And she's pretty much responsible for everything bad that happened in the game, start to finish. You can see some moments that really allude to this, particularly when Higgs and Amelie are interacting, intentionally holding up a charade for Sam Porter Bridges, and tricking him into believing that they are victim and captor, rather than mastermind and pawn. Anyway, I guess that's all I really had to say about it. I have a whole thing. If we want to get more into it, let me know and we can make a whole nother video about it. I'd love to get into each of the lies. I broke down maybe 67 lies or so. Again, a lot of work, a lot of time went into that, but I just couldn't quite get it together in the end, and I would like to take another stab at it. So that was Death Stranding. It left a big impact on me. I even picked up the novelization. So maybe I'll read that and I'll have more to say.
We run together.
Run?
Yeah. Like Mario and Princess Peach.
Even I can't forgive that one. I played Cyberpunk this year as well, and I didn't play it for very long. It didn't leave much of an impact. So I guess there's that, right? And that's all I have to say about Cyberpunk. I guess Keanu Reeves is in it, so if there's a plus, that's the one. For Honor, I played that as my multiplayer game of choice for a little while early this year. It was a game where samurais, knights, so on and so forth get to face off, and I enjoyed it. It was fun. I want to go back to it and play some more. I like that it's getting updated regularly. Team-based, it's all multiplayer. There is a single-player story, but the main attraction here is the multiplayer. But I don't want to discount that they made an entire alternate universe where these different factions can actually believably interact and battle each other, and I don't want to undersell the single player campaign, but I don't know, I had a good time. I like For Honor.
War. I am war.
Baldurs Gate 3. I got this as soon as it came out, and I played all the content for the early access, and then I waited until a few months ago to give it another spin, and spent a decent amount of time with it, did all the content basically a second time, explored the new stuff that they were adding, and now I think I'm just going to take a break for it until they add a lot to the game. I mean, it's okay. I like Baldur's Gate 3, but I feel like there's stuff that's just missing. I don't know, it feels a little sterile, it feels a little corporate. It's hard to really put my finger on what I do and don't like about Baldur's Gate 3, but I feel like there's something that's always kind of in the back of my mind when I'm playing it. I just can't put my finger on it. And again, as with any of these topics, I'm more than happy to expand on them, if that's what we want. The real standout feature of Baldur's Gate 3 is, of course, the characters, the party members, the supporting cast. I love each and every one of them. People definitely picked favorites, and all of them play really well off of your basic faceless, unknowing, empty shell of a character named Tav. Hearthstone. Hearthstone usually eats up a lot of my time each year. I've been playing it pretty consistently, and I played it this year a lot too, mostly with the new Battlegrounds modes that they introduced, and a little bit with the new expansion. I lost a lot of interest in the main game overall this year, and I did play a lot of the Battlegrounds, but now with the controversies around Blizzard and taking a hiatus from the Stormwind expansion for Hearthstone. So the last one I played was Forged in the Barrens, and I'd been playing since Naxxramas, before Naxxramas. Anyway, no worries there. Nothing big in the Hearthstone world happening right now. I played Yakuza Zero for quite a while. It was on sale on Steam, and I wanted to get into the Yakuza series. The humor looked like it was right up my alley, and it is. And the gameplay doesn't feel super dated, but I don't know. I kept coming back to it for about a week, and after that, I kind of fell off. I didn't have a big drive to complete it. And maybe I'll revisit it, but not without some prodding, I think. Again, I like it. I can recommend it if it's your kind of thing for sure. I just don't know why I lost interest. I loved the Mafia plot. It took itself so seriously. It was a lot of fun. But then the rest of the game was so wacky. I absolutely loved it. And I really do want to come back to the series when I have some more time. I returned to Bayonetta this year as well. I had a great time with Bayonetta on my return trip. I finally sat down. I beat the whole thing start to finish. I hadn't done that since I was a teenager, and I loved it. It holds up super great. It's just as fun now as it was then. Nothing feels particularly dated. Nothing feels out of place. It was very stylized, so it usually stands the test of time when that's the case. You know, I adore Bayonetta. I love her. I love the games. I love the whole franchise, and really, I think I'm just gonna have to pick up Bayonetta 2 on the Switch and replay that as well. It's that good. To one of my all-time favorite franchises, Bayonetta. Tyranny. Tyranny is a good one to talk about. This was on sale on Steam, and I had seen strategy gaming talk about Tyranny and the various choices that you can make, and that you're on the side of evil, and you choose how you want to express your leadership's wishes and desires. You're an adjudicator, a decider. This one's a little harder for me to describe on the fly, but I'll do my best. It feels a lot like a dungeon crawler, like a classic Baldurs Gate, along with a lot of voice acting, text box. Your choices always seem to matter. I stopped playing this not out of a lack of interest, but that I hit a good stopping point and just found other games, honestly. I would love to come back here, but again, it's going to take a little bit of prodding. Tyranny was a good time. I played MechWarrior 5 Mercenaries when it came out on Steam, and I have to tell you, I am incredibly disappointed. For all the games that I spent hours and hours and hours on this year, MechWarrior 5 started with MechWarrior 2 Mercenaries way back in the 90s. And I've played a few mech games here and there in between, and I've mostly kept up on the lore. You know, I've enjoyed myself. This game is so bare bones. It is exactly the same mechanics as the 1995 whatever MechWarrior Mercenaries. It is... A lot of people have a lot of issues with this game, and the core gameplay of stomping around in robots is fun. Let's not split hairs. It's still fun. And I don't want to get nitpicky into the little details of things I didn't do right. But for a AAA game, or even a AA game, or whatever you want to describe MechWarrior Mercenaries as, they really did a pathetic job and did nothing to push the envelope on the genre or on the franchise at all. The bugs are fairly severe sometimes, some game-breaking that I encountered personally. I want this franchise so badly. I want it to do better, and it's just not quite there. I want to play the miniatures game. I hear that's pretty good, but miniatures games in the 2020 is kind of a whole thing. I talked about MechWarrior 5 Mercenaries a lot, but if I had one more thing to say, it would be that MechWarrior Mercenaries just kept asking me to make compromises. It wasn't a bad game overall, but it was just lazy and definitely not what it could have been. Psychonauts. This is another one I was going to do a whole video on because I felt like I had a bunch to say, and I was going to do the style of video where I started at the beginning of the game and I wrote down my thoughts as I progressed, putting a little spin on everything, basically talking about what I saw. And I did this for the first 5 hours of the game, and The result was just walls and walls and walls of text, minutes and minutes of dialogue, and it was so hard to edit and to figure out how to condense this and turn it into a point, and it was turning quickly into what was going to be a multiple hour video about a game that was not holding my interest. And that was really what happened is after I got to a certain point in Psychonauts, that this was kind of what the game was going to offer me at this point. There were going to be a few more gimmicks, maybe a couple surprises here and there, but for the most part, I felt like I had been there, done that, and I kind of felt like the game was a little up its own ass, sorry to say. So I put it down. I can go more into that if desired, as usual. I could definitely have this giant script written out that I'd love to tear into, but as it stands right now, I don't know. I wish I had more positive things to say about Psychonauts because it's such a darling series, but I just, at the moment, I don't, and I'm not super excited for Psychonauts 2, and that was going to be kind of the point of that video. It wasn't the point when I started out. I started out really encouraged and really pumped and energized for it, but it just, I don't know, it just didn't capture me in the end. Let's see, what else do we have here? I got into Soulsborne finally this year. I had played Demon Souls when it came out, and I enjoyed it, and I really wanted to be better at it, but I just wasn't wonderful, and that's fine. But I was young and I was frustrated, so I put it down. Years later now, I was really interested in Bloodborne. I had picked up Bloodborne. I was really interested in the Souls series. I just felt like I wasn't good enough to enjoy them. But I picked up Dark Souls 3, and that reintroduced me to the Souls series, and I was immediately hooked. I think I've put a good 300 hours into Dark Souls 3 at this point, going from complete newbie to the franchise to picking up everything that I could get my hands on. From Dark Souls 2, Dark Souls 1, Code Vein, Bloodborne, whatever Soulsborne games I could get. So I became pretty addicted pretty fast. But Dark Souls 3 in particular held my interest, and as I jumped between those other Soulsborne games, I found myself continuously coming back to Dark Souls 3 for another run, to dig into the world a little more deeply, to advance this character or that. I don't know what it is about Dark Souls 3 in particular, but it feels like a lot of fun to just play and go through the world and the lore and have things approach you diegetically and naturally. Lore's never thrown in your face, for sure. I only have good things to say about Dark Souls 3, and again, I'd love to get more into it, but I don't know that I have a whole lot of original things to say. I guess I could talk about the lore, my takes with invasions, and I feel like I do have some unusual takes on how to have the most fun with Dark Souls, so maybe that could be a thing we do. I really enjoyed the single-player content, but I spent solid weeks just doing invasions over and over and over again. I really enjoyed the PvP aspect, but that sums up my time with Dark Souls. We have Sekiro. I'm still playing Sekiro. I have not beaten it yet. I picked this up and put it down, and picked it up and put it down, going straight from Dark Souls 3 into Sekiro, and that was a rough transition. I'm still not wonderful at Sekiro, but I am picking it up over time, and I'm taking my time with it. I'm being patient with it. I'm being patient with myself. And that's all I have to say about Sekiro. It's hard, man. Doom Eternal ate a good 50 hours for me. I played the main campaign all the way through. I loved it. I bought the DLC, played about half of that, played the multiplayer for a while, and it lived up to the hype. It was honestly, it's a pretty outstanding game. I'd say Doom Eternal is at least an 8 out of 10, if not higher. And that's before counting the soundtrack, which is absolutely outstanding. Oh my god. But yeah, that kind of sums up my time with Doom Eternal. I had a great time with it, and I'm still going to reinstall it from time to time just to go crazy. I've always been a fan of the Ace Combat games, and when I saw Project Wingman, I was skeptical at first. But I read some of the reviews, and they said it's basically like Ace Combat, so I picked it up, knowing that Ace Combat's a lot more arcadey than like Microsoft Flight Simulator or something like that, which I have no interest in. So Project Wingman I picked up, and holy crap, I was blown away. What an outstanding and amazing indie project. I ended up digging into the whole thing, finding out about the creator and the music, and I ended up picking up Ace Combat 7 a second time, this time for the PC, and playing through that again as well. I love both of these games, and I think that Project Wingman is just an outstanding indie game. I would love to talk more about it. There's a lot to dig into, but again, I feel like a lot of things have already been said, and the only thing I have to add is Project Wingman deserves your money, especially if you're into this kind of thing. The only thing is I wish it had multiplayer like Ace Combat 7. I know the multiplayer in the Ace Combat games isn't the best, but I still enjoy it. I know that's a lot to ask for this installation of Project Wingman, but I'm really hopeful that future versions of Project Wingman bring more to the table. Like, they did the roguelike element, maybe they'll actually flesh that out into an actual roguelike thing. I don't know. Roguelike with airplanes does sound cool when you're trading out loadouts and stuff. We didn't quite hit the mark with Conquest mode in Project Wingman. That said, it deserves your money. I still give it like a 9 out of 10. I played Devil May Cry 5 this year. Of course, again, that blew me away. A lot of hits this year. A lot of hits from 2020, 2019 that I only just played recently. And Devil May Cry 5 was among those. With the special edition, so I got to play as Virgil after I beat the campaign. I didn't want to play as him before that point. I had a blast. I played all of the Devil May Cry games, and this one is far and away my favorite. Now, I played them all since the beginning, kind of as they came out, usually within a year or two. Some of them kept my interest, some of them didn't. I enjoyed 1 and 2 and 3 to a lesser degree. 2 is kind of a guilty pleasure. Devil May Cry 4 I played a little bit of, it didn't capture me, but Devil May Cry 5, that hooked me in. Everything about it's amazing. And next up, they not just... I complained with some of the other games on this list that they didn't push the genre nearly enough, that they didn't push the franchise or whatever. That's not the case with Devil May Cry. This is clearly the best that has been offered so far. It's lovely. I can't say enough good things about it. The presentation, the gameplay, the style, the cinematics, the characters, the writing, the sound, the music, every aspect of a Devil May Cry game that you've come to expect is done better to near perfection in Devil May Cry 5. Devil May Cry 6 has a lot to live up to. I talked about everything except for Hades, my most recent addiction. When I first looked at Hades, I had played Transistor previously, and Transistor ate up about 10 hours for me or so before I was kind of over it. I liked it. So I looked at Hades and said, I don't know if this is going to hold my interest, but I'll give it a try because people won't shut up about it. Cut to 200 hours later, and I'm just trying to figure out how to make a video about Hades to justify all the time I spent with it. Dark Souls and Hades definitely ate up more of my time than any other game on this list. And I just really wanted to gush about Hades, because this is a lot to gush over. I was trying to make some kind of video that would go over the history and the interactions, the progression, and talk about the design, but it was all just so much. And again, unless people want my take, I don't know what to tell you. A lot of it's already been said. With a game this big and this popular, it's hard not to have everything basically already been said about it. Yeah, the Greek aesthetic's amazing. Zagreus is amazing. Yes, the gay and bisexual relationships are really well done and wonderful. The characters that aren't even relationship type, the game's great. The progression's great. I have only good things to say about Hades. I have no issues with it whatsoever, except that I ran out of content after about 200 hours because I was playing it so much. But there was so much content, and 200 hours is a lot. I mean, I played Skyrim for a healthy amount of time, an unhealthy amount of time, and I still feel like I got more out of a game like Hades, which is nuts. I played Dead Cells, I played a lot of other roguelites, but nothing quite like Hades.
Let's deal some death.
So I guess that's it for the whole list. I wasn't really going to rate all of these or anything, but I could, but this is more from my memory. So from January of 2021 to July, this is what I've spent most of my time playing. There's been a few other games I played here and there, but these are the ones that left some kind of impact or that I felt like I had anything at all to say about. I would love to talk more about any of these subjects, and in lieu of that, I hope that each month I will continue this trend of reviewing what I was most interested in throughout the month, rather than trying to dig up topics to talk about at length or write essays about things that I'm not even sure about. We'll see. We'll see whatever the interest is. Anyway, I'm Jay. Thanks for listening this far if you have. Don't forget to subscribe because I do intend to painstakingly create new content as often as I can. Thanks, everybody.